Hey everyone, thank you for coming out today. We really appreciate you spending your time here with us. I'm John Hardies. I'm the brand designer for the Woolrich Group. So a little background, Woolrich, established in 1830, the original outdoor clothing company. That's a little context. 1830 was the first train station in America, and Mary Had a Little Lamb was also published in that year. So they have a really storied history, a lot of great heritage, the famous buffalo check flannel, the first zipper on a pair of men's trousers, and the longest operating vertical wool mill in the whole US. So our project was to redefine the house shoe. And the house shoe is kind of synonymous with slipper, easy to put on and off, warm, comfortable, and it has a lot of history. So there's the Renaissance, where slippers were worn just so they could be comfortable without distraction for science and philosophy. There's Asia, and particularly Japan, where it's customary to take your shoes off to show respect for a private space and to also keep the houses clean. And also in Europe and Scandinavia to keep wood floors intact and carpets in good shape. So here's some stats regarding your outdoor shoes coming in your house. It's not really a custom in America to take your shoes off and throw on house shoes. There's a lot of socks and sandals, but this house shoe concept, there is actually a need for it. It is common in other parts of the world. So what we came up with is Woolrich Home Collection. It's a footwear-specific collection on Woolrich's site, their brand, to coincide with their 4 pre-existing fashion collections. And it's Experience the Feeling, because home is a feeling, not a place. Home is associated with thoughts, smells, memories, family, different attachments that we have to things, and not necessarily location. So we wanted to play off of that when you put your feet inside these house shoes. So the way it's set up is that Woolwich is doing a collaboration for placement in IKEA and West Elm. And then we also chose the Point Resort, which is a resort in the Adirondacks in upstate New York, which was built for the Rockefeller family, and it's kind of an escape for them, and it's really, really high class. And so the pricing at $50, $85, and $300 is so that whether it's affordable, attainable, or aspirational, everyone can experience the feeling of home. So we want to kind of push this concept, engage the consumers, especially in the US, because for everyone, home isn't made in the USA, and it doesn't feel like a specific thing, but it could be expressed maybe with a picture. Maybe someone's wearing their Woolrich house shoes in different locations, and to kind of promote brand awareness. And when we see an opportunity to promote house shoes in the US, kind of make it a part of our culture, to appeal to Generation Y, which you'll see in the consumers later, and cater to full-time moms in the house, because there's not a shoe made just for them, and to create luxury, story-driven slippers to fit in that niche of the $300 house shoe, something that you would actually want to have that experience and have that feeling. So thank you. I'll move on to color and materials.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlie. I'm the color, material, and finish designer for Woolrich. So when I was pulling imagery for our global color palette and what really inspired the materials as well, I played off of the tagline that John, our brand designer, came up, which was experience the feeling. And so every image in here is either an awe-inspiring experience and somewhere that you want to be, and a lot of natural environments, and then feeling and very tactile pictures, pictures with a lot of texture, and something that you want to reach out and touch, and that inspired the global color palette, which features a lot of warm colors because Woolrich being a brand that supplies warm goods, as well as some cool colors to contrast that, and quite a few natural colors with some neutral tints as well. In the IKEA color palette, I played off of a couple of interiors, one that's a little bit more out there with the turquoise, and then one that's a little bit more reserved and neutral. And then also it had quite a bit of inspiration from food, just because a lot of times when you're in the home, you tend to be eating, and so that definitely drove some of the color palettes. With the materials, the IKEA shoe, which you'll see in a minute, is rather simple, and so I only used 2 materials. There is boiled wool felt, which offers some breathability and a little bit of warmth, and then 100% cotton canvas for some structure on the shoe. With West Elm, it's definitely a little bit more of a neutral brand in what they offer to be put in people's homes. There's definitely an influence of nature as well, with wood and different greens. And the consumer that is shopping for this shoe lives on the coast of Northern California. And so there's definitely some influence of oceanside sites and nature. And then in the materials of this, it was a little bit higher price, so I got to use some nicer materials, including this really unique Wolverine suede, which actually has a different trim than the base and face of the suede, And then there is a gore on the inside of the heel of the shoe, so there's elastic and boiled wool felt. And then with the point, that's a luxury shoe, it's $300. And so it's a young entrepreneur who's got some money, and so I made a colorway off of his Porsche, as well as his girlfriend and red velvet cake, which is a little bit higher step up than a birthday cake that you might see. And then with materials, there's a lot of fun to play with some Horween leather, which is really high-end quality leather, both aniline and tumbled, and a unique laser-etched suede, which you'll see the detail on Kevin's shoe, and boiled wool felt. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name's Blair, and I'm part of the footwear design team for Woolwich. Okay, so my mission was to design a shoe that had elements of DIY and also customization. So IKEA and Woolrich, I looked into the heritage of both brands, and I wanted to create like a connection between different cultures of the brands. So Scandinavian is a bit more minimal. The products are a bit more simple, and then the tradition is to wear Swedish house shoes in the sort of home. Then the American, the heritage of Woolwich, and the materials that they use that are manufactured in the USA. Next one. So my consumer is Alvira and Eric. It's going to be a unisex shoe, and Eric works in a manufacturing industry at Volvo, and Alvira is a culinary arts student, and she's a part-time waitress. So their jobs are like quite demanding, but also they have like an attention to detail and design. Next slide. So some of the main problems existing with slippers are the limited availability of colors, the lack of breathability, and there's no like purpose to the design, it's just generic. Next slide. So I was inspired a lot by Scandinavian design, which kind of links back to IKEA and its heritage. And I like the way that the designs are really, the form of the designs and the sort of iconic shapes of the designs. So my sketch process was, I started with like the DIY sort of flat pack, inspired by IKEA, and then I sort of changed my direction because my designs were getting a bit too technical and a bit too like difficult to manufacture. So I sort of went to Scandinavian design, back to what I was inspired by, and created something simple and feasible. So my solutions were a range of colorways, because the shoe can actually be taken apart and connected with different colors and stuff. So it's breathable as well, because I used the lines from the chair to sort of dictate how the form of the shoe would look, and it's designed with a story in mind. So the shoe was called Uppliva, which is a Swedish word, and it translates to comfort, revival, and cheering up people. The outsole design was inspired by the IKEA trail mat, and it actually goes from Sweden or Scandinavian area to USA, which sort of links in with the story. It also has kind of like a bridge in the center of the outsole, which kind of connects the two cultures together and bridges the gap. Next slide. These are my colorways, and they're all inspired by food, so sort of the Scandinavian sort of food, and nature, so deep sea and autumn. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lacey Trujillo, and this is my footwear design project for Woolrich. So for the past 4 weeks, I was designing a house shoe that was for a full-time mom in an oceanside environment. So I was assigned West Elm. So the shoe would be sold in West Elm, and just how these two the brand and the retailer relate is through design language. So they're minimal, modern, and also contemporary. And they also have an influence on the outdoors life. So my consumer, she's Lisa Mitchell. She's 35 years old. She's married and has 2 kids. And she's a full-time mom and lives in San Clemente, California. So you can just imagine what she goes throughout her daily life. So let's get her in a good shoe. So the problems that I encountered with today's house shoes is that it doesn't accommodate foot swelling, knee pain. It's difficult getting on and off, and also sweaty feet. So the inspiration that I pulled was just looking at what relaxes people. And what came to mind was just like a hammock, a woven hammock, the Japanese Zen garden, like hanging out on the beach on your porch, and also just sitting by the fire and being cozy. So the ideation kind of started out as a 100% in-house shoe. So I got inspired by a moccasin, which is inspired by like my Native American culture, and that's kind of how we saw a house shoe, was indoor and outdoor. But as the consumer and the environment changed, we went more towards a sandal-like and to just fit in that environment with the weather. So for my solutions, I went towards an elastic gore, which is in the inside, so it's easier to get on and off, and it's going to be surrounded by wool. The next one is a woven design, which was inspired by the woven hammock, which will form around the foot. And because when you see a hammock, it doesn't look as comfortable until you actually get into it and it forms around your body. And also the pour-on pods, which is going to be on the sole. So it's on the metatarsal and the heel, and that's where the most impact is. And it's going to be less impact on your knees, so it's going to be easier on the knees. And with sole ventilation, there's going to be holes within the sole, so you're going to get airflow and also breathability to go throughout the foot. So this is Haven, and Haven is defined as a safe place. So it's $85, and 4 colorways are available at West Elm. And thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin Genido, and my project here was to design a luxury house shoe for the up-and-coming businessman. So working with Woolrich and the Point Resort, they both share the common ethos of having really rich backgrounds with American heritage, so I tried to incorporate that in my design moving forward. In terms of the market, there really isn't much out there for for luxury house shoes in between the market of $100 to $500. Everything is either under that or above that, so I tried to target that and shed the light on that market. So I'd like y'all to meet Zara Castro. He's kind of a cocky individual. He's a self-made millionaire, but he did it the hard way. He has humble beginnings, and he loves running his own business and running his website, but it leaves him really no time to do the outdoor activities that he enjoyed as a kid. So the narrative here is that he's traveling to the Point Resort in order to just completely unplug from his busy day-to-day life and just be at one with himself, similar to the feeling he enjoys when he hops into his Porsche and just drives on the open road by himself, alone with his thoughts. However, in this case, he's not traveling alone. He's going with his girlfriend he's actually planning on proposing to, so he has a lot of emotions running through him, and he's ready to take that next phase and next step in his life. So in terms of the next slide, my ideation phase, I started at the top left here with kind of a moccasin-inspired style, just based on my preconceptions of what a house shoe is supposed to look like. And from there, I kind of figured that Zara would not wear any of these shoes. So I've tried to push luxury more and went with a more sleeker, kind of tailored look, more of formal-looking James Bondy type shoes. I even had an idea of having a cigar cutter get ejected out of the heel with the push of a button. I thought that was really cool, but it wasn't very feasible, so I didn't go with that moving forward. And then through collaborating with some of my teammates, we figured that luxury means different things to different people. It really depends. So what does it mean to Zara? It meant something that was comfortable, something that was classic and timeless, as well as familiar. So we went with Porsche design as a good language to kind of combine my ideas, and we came up with my final concept here. And then, so yeah, I kind of wanted to focus on the details, not only in the aesthetics, but with the function of the shoe. So the heel, there's a tooling in the heel that kind of ejects out just for ease of taking off the shoe and slipping out of it. So if you could just imagine him at his resort, being hand-delivered a package that unveils a pair of beautiful dress shoes with immaculate details and specific materials, as well as a story card that relates to Woolrich's history, really brings him back in time and gets him thinking about his own past and really realizing how far he's come in life. And then from there, he slips on the shoes, feeling totally immersed in comfort. He feels that he is at home and he has not a care in the world. And that is the American dream. Thank you.